got to pay him back. For many of you that don't know Deacon Alfred, I started my pastorage at a church west of here that was called, ironically, Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. When I started pastoring there wasn't many people, maybe about 30, and they didn't have a Bible study. And so I started a Bible study. I was working full time, and I would drive over and do a Bible study. And the first Bible study, only about 3 people showed up. One was in a wheelchair. One was very seasoned. And the other one was the sister of the seasoned woman that had some Alzheimer's. She called me and said, "Pastor, did you make it home safe?" And I said, "Yes, baby, I made it home safe." She says, "I really appreciate you coming over all the way over here to do a Bible study." She says, "That's something that we miss." And she says, "I want to know more about the God that I serve." And she says, "Is it okay that next week when we come that I can invite some of my friends?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I will be honored if they called." And we was in the study, and they began to come in, and all of them were 50 and above. And as they begin to come in, we start talking about salvation. We start talking about the grace of God, and we start talking about what we owe God. And over in the corner, there was one young lady in her early 30s just weeping. And one of the mothers went over to console her, and I went over and I said, "Sister, what's wrong with you?" And she says, "Pastor, I've been in debt for a long time." She said, "For the last 2 years, I've been spending money trying to pay my debt." She says, "But when you start talking about salvation, and when you start talking about the grace of God, and when you start talking about how much God does for her," she says, "I paid MasterCard out. I paid my car." She says, "God blessed me, and I paid my house off." She says, "My belt card is paid off." She says, "I look around, and everything is paid off." She says, "But one bill I owe, and some way I got to pay him back." She said, "I need to pay God back, because if it wasn't for God, none of the other bills would have been paid." I wish I had about 3 or 4 folk in here that said, "You know what, I do owe God something, because the breath that I'm breathing belongs to the Lord. That when I got up this morning, if he had not stood me up, then I wouldn't have made it to church. So I owe the Lord. I owe the Lord." And some people will come in and act like they don't owe God nothing. Baby, can I beg the difference? Everything that you are, you owe God. Everything that you have and you don't have, you owe God. Some stuff God don't want you to have because it ain't good for you, even though it's good to you. When we realize what we owe God, we really have to figure out how to pay God. Let me bless you real good, because I know some folks in here are financially sound, but baby, you don't have enough money in your checking account. Come on, pray with me, if you will, to pay the Lord. I don't care how many zeros you got, you still don't have enough. This is how I know you don't have enough, because even the money you do have, it still belongs to the Lord. Can I back it up with scripture? The earth is the Lord's, the world, and so everything already belongs to him. So how can you pay a God with something that he already owns? God, that's deep to me. How can I pay it? Can I bless you? It's not enough to come to church to pay it. It's not enough to do ministry work to pay him. There has to be a way, and the psalmist says what causes him to try to pay God back. When you open up the book 116 in chapter 1, the first thing he says is, "I love the Lord." Woo, boy, we can stop right there. Listen, that in and of itself ought to say that I got to try to do something to God, since God has done something. I love the Lord. Is there anybody in here who had a bad day but can still say, I love the Lord? Anybody had to endure some storm, but you still can say, I love the Lord, that no matter what happened, I still love the Lord. On my sick bed, I love the Lord. When I'm broke, I love the Lord. When I'm friendless, I love the Lord. When I'm upset, I love the Lord. I just love the Lord.